My Own Private Idaho is a 1991 road movie adapted, well, loosely based on Henry IV and a little bit of director Gus Van Sant's own imagination. It stars River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves in what was some of their best known. One was one of Reeves's best known earlier things, and one of Phoenix's best known things in general. The movie hinges on both men's performances, and although it isn't a masterpiece like I thought it could have been, it still is one that I do think people will enjoy. It's one that people should get around to see. River Phoenix hasn't done. I mean, like he's done maybe a dozen films his whole shortened life, and that's really too bad because he's such a good actor, and he really could have. I mean, like he could have won an Oscar. He was nominated for Running on Empty from 1988, which is a film I'll eventually get around to reviewing. It's better than My Own Private Idaho, and Phoenix's performance in it is better. He lost that one to Kevin Kline for A Fish Called Wanda, but there eventually would have come a time in Phoenix's life, had he not died in 1993, where he would have been the lock for an Oscar win. But that's what's done is done. This is about My Own Private Idaho. So the movie is about River Phoenix, who plays a guy named Mike, who is narcoleptic, and he's a hustler. He's a male prostitute, and he eventually reunites with an old friend of his named Scott, who's played by Keanu Reeves, and they go on like cross country, just hustling and trying to get to know who they are really. Now, now Mike is one that he didn't really have the best childhood, and um, and Scott is one that was part of this really super rich family, and he just upped one day and left to really go find himself, to see where the open road took him, and so he wound up um, as a hustler, and he plans on one day just arriving back at his parents' doorstep, changing his life for the better, because he thinks that will be a bigger and better reward than if he slowly changed and was good like right from the get go. It would have been less of a reward if he did it that way. So, yep, two friends travel cross country, and the movie is LGBTQ. Uh, Mike and Mike and Scott are both. I mean, like there is one scene where where Mike is with a woman, and he's nervous about it, not because he's gay, but because he's just so used to doing it with men. It's never totally clear if Scott is gay or if he's also more used to doing it with men. That's something that I thought could have been cleared up a little bit, but but whatever. Yeah, some graphic sex in this, most of which is gay, and that will prove to be a turnoff for some. If that sort of thing doesn't really bother you, like if you're, well, whatever, then yeah, I don't think that this movie will. That this will. I do think that this movie will be suitable. Will be suitable. Like aside from that one taboo thing, this movie really doesn't feature anything that will really get to you very much. Now, Gus Van Sant's previous film was Drugstore Cowboy, which I thought was better than My Own Private Idaho. Out of the Gus Van Sant films I've seen, he's a very innovative indie director. My Own Private Idaho is somewhere in the lesser part. I've liked almost everything that I've seen Van Sant do, except for Elephant. I know that Elephant was critically acclaimed, but I didn't like it at all. And um, yeah, if I didn't see Elephant, then My Own Private Idaho would probably be my least favorite of Gus Van Sant's things. The only reason being the first half of the film doesn't really feature very much going for it. I mean, Phoenix and Reeves, we don't really get to know their motives for anything, and I thought that's a really crucial thing when telling a story is that you really got to know people's motives and really get to know a solid backstory behind it. And it isn't until a little bit later on in the film when we get to know we notice like the motives aren't 100% clear, but they get to paint some sort of a picture for us, and that doesn't happen until the second half of the film. So the first half it does drag a little bit, but it isn't so bad that you're bored out of your mind. It is lively where we are engaged, and that is a good move. And Gus Van Sant, his the style of the film, it is pretty good. Like I remember, like, there's one scene where they go to an adult bookstore, and there's this rack of magazines, the shelf magazines, sorry, and there's and all the men on it are like alive, and um, they're talking to the audience. I didn't really understand the point of that, other than for Gus Van Sant to really show off his directing ability, and for the crew to show that they're really good at what they do. But I thought it was well done for what it was. And as I said, this movie is based on Henry IV, and so there's a few bits of really unusual dialogue, like in Shakespeare's time. So I figured that those bits were taken almost directly from the Shakespeare plays. So I thought that was a pretty good thing on their behalf. Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix themselves do deliver really good performances in this. Um, Aside from Stand By Me and Running on Empty, this is River Phoenix's best known film and best known performance. I know he has done more than just those three films. Like he did Indiana Jones and Dark Blood. But the three films but Stand By Me, Running on Empty, and My Own Private Idaho are like River Phoenix's Holy Trinity. And he's just fine in this. I really liked him. And the big difference between River Phoenix and Joaquin Phoenix's younger brother is it took Joaquin Phoenix a few years to really get to the caliber that he is right now. Like he was really good in the Joker, and don't worry, he won't get far on foot. But River Phoenix, on the other hand, he always did more normal performances, like more normal roles, things that were more complex, more deep. and this happens to be one of them. I'm not saying that his performance in Mom Private Idaho is better than Joaquin's in Joker. They were different, and River in this was more subdued than Joaquin's more energetic performance, and that's okay. So, Mom Private Idaho, it is a good movie. I gave it